Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to another installment of Scott Selections here for Thursday, June 13th. Before we get into the play of the day, we'll quickly recap what happened yesterday. We did not have any plays of the day, but there was the culmination of the hockey season as the St. Louis Blues finally made history and won their first Stanley Cup. Definitely a blowout game from the start. Bruins should have been up by at least a goal at the end of the first period. They were all over them, but yet the Blues capitalized on their opportunities, scored 4 goals against Rask on just 20 shots, and the Bruins only scored 1 goal on 33 shots. So Jordan Bennington, rookie goalie, had one of the greatest rookie performances by honestly any player in the history of hockey by having a phenomenal showing, a shutout through the first 58 minutes or so in a road Stanley Cup Game 7. Absolutely absurd. Also, congrats to the bettor who put 400 on the Blues to win the Cup in January at roughly plus 25,000 and ended up making a very cool 100K. So props to him as well. How's it going, Terry? Thanks for joining us. But we will be resuming the play of the day on today's card, and then we will quickly be recapping the rest of the betting card. The play of the day is actually going to be taking place in a baseball game at 7:05, and that play will be between the Arizona Diamondbacks and the Washington Nationals. And the play of the day we'll be going with is on the Diamondbacks money line, which is available at minus 113 on Pinnacle. In this pitching matchup, you have Zach Greinke versus Eric Fedde. Fedde so far this season has been pretty solid, but he was not great last year. A very small sample size. He's only had roughly 4 starts this season. Greinke on the other end has been fantastic for a long career, as well as this season in particular, as he has been almost unhittable lately. In terms of stats, Greinke 7-2 with a 2.87 ERA, and Fedde is 1-0 with a 2.93 ERA. However, Fedde was not amazing by any means in his last start. He did give up 3 runs in 6 innings. Wasn't fantastic, but Greinke, on the other end, is coming into this after giving up no earned runs in his last start. For me, Greinke and the Diamondbacks in particular, have been arguably the hottest team in baseball. They have been rolling. They have won let me just do the math here. They've won 6 of their last 7 games, whereas the Nationals, they have looked better lately, but they're still 5 games under 500. And Fedde, I don't think is a great enough pitcher for me to think that they should be this small of a dog, not to mention the fact that the Nationals still have one of the worst bullpens in baseball. So for me, I'm going to lean to the Diamondbacks here. I think the Diamondbacks should get the job done. Greinke's been fantastic. Fedde's been okay, not amazing by any stretch of the imagination. And I think at minus 113, you're getting a lot of value there. I think the Diamondbacks should be roughly minus 125, minus 130 in this spot. So with that being said, the play of the day will be on the Arizona Diamondbacks on the money line at minus 113 at Pinnacle. Now I'll go on to the game everyone wants to talk about, which is Game 6 of the NBA Finals between the Golden State Warriors and the Toronto Raptors. Total has been bet up from 211 to 212.5 in some spots, mostly 212 though market wide. And on the side, it started out at minus 3.5 for Golden State, down to minus 2.5 in most spots. Some places still have it at minus 3. In terms of this game, I'm actually going to lean to Toronto here. I know that Toronto had a great chance to win in Game 5 at home, particularly after Durant got injured in the second quarter. But Durant did put up 11 points. He did help the Warriors win that game, even though he wasn't a part of the last 2.5 quarters. Did Toronto choke the game away? You can argue yes after Kawhi went on that 10-0 run, and then Nick Nurse called one of the dumbest timeouts in NBA history, which gave the Warriors a chance to come up with a game plan, and then the Warriors hit a bunch of threes, and they ended up winning. But in terms of the game itself, Durant's not here. He's not playing. I know Clay and Curry were great in Game 5. But overall, it's the same issues for the Warriors. I don't know how they're going to score points, with the exception of Clay and Curry, especially with Looney being injured. Iguodala hasn't been at 100% for most of the playoffs. Overall, Toronto, I think that if they do not choke, they should win this game. I think Toronto is clearly the better team when Durant is not in the lineup. And I think that Toronto, even though Kyle Lowry did miss on that game winner, they did end up showing a replay from a different angle. And it turns out it was actually blocked by Draymond on the corner. So I'm not going to be as harsh on Kyle Lowry as I was in the past, because apparently his shot was blocked and he did not actually hit the side of the backboard just without anybody making any contact with it. But I think Toronto's the better team. I think Toronto will go to a similar game plan that they ended up using in either Game 3 or Game 4 against Golden State. Game 4 is more applicable because Klay Thompson's back. But Toronto, I expect Nurse to make some adjustments. I definitely would be shocked if the Warriors did win this series in the end. But I think the Raptors are the better team. I think if the Raptors start out on a hot start, I think they'll win the game. I think it's a perfect game to live bet. I think if the Warriors come out and punch them in the mouth, then I think you could look to some in-game value with the Raptors at a plus price or or a spread. But if the Warriors start off slowly, I wouldn't be surprised to see Toronto just hammer them in the second half. So my leans for the game itself will be the Toronto Raptors +3, which is available at Bookmaker, and as well as the Raptors money line for me. And I'd also lean to the under 212.5, which is available at Bovada. I think it'll be a lower scoring game. I think that an elimination game of this caliber, I think Golden State will try to clamp it down defensively, and I think that Golden State will have some offensive issues without Durant. So I will lean to the under and the Raptors in that one. Now moving on to the rest of the MLB card, you have Toronto versus Baltimore. We were right about the over on that yesterday. I leaned to Toronto in this one. Stroman's still a solid pitcher. Genoa has been okay, not great. But at -130, the Toronto Bats finally realized they were playing in Camden Yards, and they did well yesterday, so I will lean to the Blue Jays there, as I think their team is simply just better. Moving on, you have the Rangers versus the Red Sox. The Red Sox are -230, give or take. Samson versus Price on the mound. I'll lean to the under 8.5 here. Both lineups haven't really done much in this series, as the pitchers did well yesterday, as the Red Sox ended up winning on a walk-off walk. But Price and Sampson have been pretty solid this year. There's no way I'm laying 230 with the Red Sox. In terms of value, I'd look towards the Rangers +1.5 runs. But for me, main lean, I'll lean to the under 8.5. Moving on, you have the Rays versus the Angels with Yarborough versus Skaggs. I lean to the Rays. Simply put, the Rays are just one of the best teams in baseball at this point in time, and I'm not going to go against them there. So I will lean to the Rays on that one. Moving on, you have the Mets versus the Cardinals. Total's been bet down from 7.5 to 7, and the Mets are currently a -145 favorite. Cardinals did do well against the Marlins over in the last couple of games, but they did end up losing 9-0 yesterday. Mets had the day off after the doubleheader against the Yankees, which they split. I'll lean to the Mets here. They've looked better lately. I think the Mets and Cardinals are roughly the same team because they're both around 500. For me, I'll take the Grum. Small lean there. Moving on, you have Homer Bailey Day with the Royals and the Tigers. We ended up losing on Homer Bailey Day as one of the plays of the day last week, but at the same point, I do like Boyd here. I think Boyd's a solid pitcher. I'll lean to the Tigers there. Next, you have the Yankees and the White Sox with Happ versus Nova. I do like the way that the White Sox have played lately, but Nova has been terrible this season, and he's also a former Yankee. Yankees definitely have seen him before. Happ's been good lately. Happ has definitely responded to all of the murmurs from the fans as they started booing him earlier in the season due to some poor performances. But he's been very solid over the last couple of starts. In terms of this game, though, I will lean to the over 9.5, and I will lean to the Yankees. I think Happ won't pitch as well. I do like the way the White Sox lineup has played, especially with Abreu, Moncada, and Jimenez has looked really good over the last couple of weeks, whereas the Yankees' offense has still looked solid. I'm not really concerned with their performance against the Mets in Game 2. Paxton simply just didn't have it, and that's what you get. But I'll lean to the over 9.5 there. I think you should see a decent amount of runs. Moving on, you have the Rockies versus the Padres. I'll lean to the Rockies here with Gray versus Strom. Strom's okay, but I like the way that the Rockies have played lately. I know that Arenado was hit by a pitch the other day, but I believe he is just day-to-day with a bruise, and he should be in the lineup today. But keep in mind his status, because if Arenado is out, that is a huge blow to the Rockies' chances today, as I think he is easily a top 5 player in all of baseball. And the last game, you have the Dodgers versus the Cubs with Lester versus Kershaw. I'll lean to the Dodgers, and I'll lean to the under there. Cubs did do well against the Rockies in their last game, but Kershaw's on the mound. Lester has not been the same guy over the course of the season, so I will definitely lean to the Dodgers there. But the play of the day will be on the Arizona Diamondbacks money line, which is available at -113 at Pinnacle. And with that being said, quick reminder of our sponsors at PointsBet, all-in sportsbook in New Jersey. Up to 2 risk-free bets up to $1,000. Great promo they have. They also have an NBA Finals deal where if you take a money line bet and your team is up after 3 quarters, you win and don't have to worry about sweating it out during the 4th quarter and potentially losing that lead. But with that being said, that's going to do it for this installment of Scott's Selections here for Thursday, June 13th. Good luck to all of you and your respective plays today. Bye, everyone.